What is this? What is this? What is this? Oh. What is this? Lunce is this? What is this? Lunce is this? Oh. Lunce is this a fire. Lunce is this a fire. Lunce is this a fire. Lunce is this a fire.
All right. Let's start off with number 5, John. Of the popular culture franchises that you have the greatest affinity for, is we're going to use our fancy whiteboard here. Just the best technology in our Meltdown studios. All right. Number 5. We're watching, and it is going to be an M. There's an A. There's an R. Marvel. Now, this is Marvel overall. Not just the MCU, or else maybe you would have written MCU. This is overall Marvel, so this can include, I guess, anything that was in the Fox merger, which I guess now is technically MCU anyway. But all the Spider-Man movies, Madam Web, all of that can be featured in here. Talk a little bit about why Marvel reaches that top 5 spot for you and why it's not even higher, because a lot of people would be towards their number 1. Maybe it's fallen off in recent years.
Well, it was number 1 until Madam Web came out, and then it dropped to number 5. No, look, Marvel wouldn't have been in my top 5, honestly, until the MCU. That's really what put it over the top. The money Disney obviously invested in it, buying it, creating the MCU, that has, it's the biggest franchise, strictly money-wise, when it comes to movies, and of course it's not even close, and a lot of that has to do with Infinity War Endgame, the great end they had to it. But overall, I wouldn't say I was super into comic book stuff before the MCU. I mean, I'd go see Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. I'd go see Fantastic Four when it came out. I'd go see movies like that, but I wasn't super into the overall lore. Now I dive into everything, and I want to look up every spoiler and leak and see what are they potentially thinking and all that kind of stuff.
You like the connectivity of the MCU and what it provided.
Yeah, but before that, it really wasn't much. So really, the MCU is what put it up into the list, as opposed to a couple honorable mentions I had that I ended up having to push out.
The connectivity was Marvel's greatest strength at one point, and now it has turned into an Achilles heel for them, because if not everything connects, people feel like, I can wait, I can hold off on watching that. But if something is, one of those tentpole films that is over-connective, like Spider-Man No Way Home, it's hard to regain that magic for whatever the next solo release is. So they're in a weird spot right now with the MCU, and I'm curious to see how they're going to dig out of it. I think Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be a nice shot in the arm.
It better be.
I think it will be for a franchise right now that used to be looked at as indestructible and now needs a solid home run outing. And I think Deadpool and Wolverine will be that, based on not only the hype train coming in here, but I believe in Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman and making that thing work.
And, I talk about the Sam Raimi trilogy when Andrew Garfield came in and played Spider-Man. Into the Spider-Verse right now, or the Spider-Verse trilogy, and we'll see when we get the next one. That's the best thing Marvel has ever had Marvel's name attached to it, to me. I'm absolutely in love with Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. They have a chance to land it, I think, to make the single greatest trilogy of all time. And I know as a cartoon, it's you can't include that with all the other great trilogies that have happened out there. I am, and that's another reason why Marvel kind of crept into number 5.
We have Jim Dunaway, who's in the chat, saying the MCU is better than LSU. So,
yeah.
I guess
now we
technically,
are in Alabama,
so that's correct.
Everybody here hates LSU.
Let's see here. We have Nick, who writes, I hate to say I have not watched Guardians 3 or any of the current TV shows. At one point, it becomes a lot to just catch up on. And you miss one thing, you're okay with missing 2 things, 3 things, and it spirals out of control to where you're watching none of it. So Marvel really has to get everybody back on the same page. I think Deadpool and Wolverine is that ticket, potentially. We will see. All right.
By the way, Benjamin asked what I thought about Echo. I got super sick on my birthday, so that's actually what I did, was watch all of Echo. I'm glad Kingpin's back. I'll leave it at that. The rest of the show didn't do much for me.
I do like Kingpin, especially in that original Daredevil run on Netflix and the development that they have.
Which also needs to land, them bringing that show back too.
Well, if you're going to have Deadpool in there, I feel like you can get back to having Daredevil be
I hope
something that has a little bit more kick to it. All right, let's move on to number 4. That's our current state of Marvel. But we are looking at the 5 franchises that John has the most affinity for. I think if Marvel was still crushing it, it probably would have been higher. All right, I'm looking at the board live along with you. I don't know the answers to these. Nothing has prepped me. I'm also blocked, so you guys are getting a better view here. I saw a W at some point. Warcraft. Oh, my gosh. We're going to go to Rockstar for this one. Rockstar, I know you're huge on Warcraft there in your household. It's a very popular franchise for you.
Oh, I got
Sorry, guys. Oh my God.
Sorry, amateur hour over here.
You know, I
What are we? Oh, what's
Sorry.
going on here?
I got it.
There
I
he
got it.
is. Okay.
I have
He was playing
never
a song a minute ago.
played Warcraft. I have never seen Warcraft, but I hear it's a very popular with the kids. I think they've said over 10,000 people play it, something like that, some crazy number like that. Am I even close?
Yeah, not even close. Look, it's about the craft around war. No, look, this is not movie franchise, just movie franchise.
How funny would it be, by the way, if he picked this, knew nothing about it, and we have to sit here and really feel, and then the internet hates us for life.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about Warcraft other than it was a movie that came out off of the game.
And look, people hated the movie. I like the movie, but I think that's more of a like, I'm going to defend it because I'm a Warcraft defender. But look, I've been playing World of Warcraft since it came out back in 2004. I really got into the franchise with Warcraft 3. There's actually a mobile game I play a bunch now. The not to throw a pun out there, but the world around the Warcraft franchise has exploded. Every BlizzCon is like must-watch streaming for me to see what the next expansion is. I still play the game fairly religiously. I've kind of dropped off of it a little bit lately as we've been working on all this, but it's something that not a lot of people are going to resonate with unless you're really into World of Warcraft specifically, more so than just the games. But
Do you have the Shield of Katala?
no, I do have the Sword of a Thousand Truths though, which
You do not.
Once again, that's probably a lot of people's introduction to World of Warcraft was that episode of South Park. I was calling it Spain Park of South Park.
That would be a very different type of show or a different type of adventure.
Make Love Not Warcraft was an incredible episode. I think a lot of people look at that as maybe the best episode of South Park out there, and introduce a lot of new people to the game. Even though the whole thing is like making fun of nerds that sit in their basement and play World of Warcraft all the time, of which I am one.
We couldn't tell.
It did a really good job of building the lore around Warcraft, and everything Blizzard does comes off of Warcraft. Diablo's good, StarCraft's good, Overwatch is good, but it all comes back to Warcraft.
All right, Warcraft there at number 4. Thank goodness that's off the board. Let's move on to number 3. I wish I could have added more commentary to the Warcraft stuff.
It's great. Great stuff. I loved Warcraft.
Yeah, I'm glad that you are an expert on it, Rocky, because I definitely did not contribute much there. All right, number 3 is
Star Search.
Wars, I assume. It's Wars. Okay. See, my view is blocked.
Star Trek?
It could have been Star Trek. It could have been, but I know you like Star Wars more than Star Trek. I do as well.
Yeah, I'm not a Trekkie.
Look, Star Wars right now is in a frustrating place because you have a fan base that's pretty divided. I think you have segments of the fan base that go in rooting for Star Wars movies or Star Wars shows to absolutely suck. And I hate that. I want everything I go in to watch, I want it to be good. And I feel like you have a very divided fan base right now that as long as it's under Disney, they will never, ever give anything a full chance
That's
again.
the magic word you said right there, Disney. That
That's
people,
just the
the minute it happened, there's probably some people out there that were that way about Marvel until the Infinity Saga ended up being so good. But I think Force Awakens is the best Star Wars movie, and we're not going to get into this whole argument because I've gotten in the argument with the chat, in the chat with Next Round fans plenty about this, but I love Force Awakens, and then to a lot of people it fell off a cliff. We both like The Last Jedi overall.
Gosh, how are you going to say that on our very first episode that we both like The Last Jedi? Because now, once again, we have so many people going, I'm done with you guys. I liked it. I still like it. I just hate what it resulted in.
Yeah, and that's the fair criticism that I think a lot of people instantly go to. I hate it because of that. But the movie itself is not that bad. And people in the chat are saying, look, the new trilogy was awful, but hey, Andor's pretty good. Hey, Mandalorian's pretty good. I kind of, if you're going to just, this is not about.
Rogue One was great too.
Yeah, Rogue One was good. I didn't hate Solo as much as a bunch of people did, but it's still near the bottom for me. But like, I can find I'll say it this way. I can find enjoyment in both the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy, and everything in between. I can find enjoyment in that. Plus, Knights of the Old Republic was a game I love playing. I played Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO, trying to get off of World of Warcraft for a little bit. There's a lot to Star Wars, obviously, but overall, it's not quite enough to move into number one for me, but it's still a solid 3.
Paul writes in and says, Rise of Skywalker, 2 thumbs down. Rise of Skywalker is my least favorite Star Wars movie ever made. And for a while, it was Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. And Episode 9, what it did was expose that there was no plan to make that trilogy work. And it is the most frustrating and the one that I have not circled back to watch a second time. I can't do it. I get so angry watching this thing where it started off with so much promise in 2015 with The Force Awakens. As you mentioned, The Last Jedi led to so much discourse that they did a big course correct on it, and that's what you get is Episode 9 trying to appease the internet. And it was a mess, and there has not been a theatrically released Star Wars movie since. And who knows what the next one will be. It's supposed to be The Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
But that's only because they had that avenue in Disney Plus to be able to explore some of the television series. I look at it as being a result of the success of the TV series, no matter how good the movie is. I wonder what the next standalone movie property is going to be, because there's been all kinds of development hell with the Rey movie, and it's going to create even more discourse when it comes out.
My biggest complaint is that they will not get away from the Skywalker saga in pretty much anything, because Andor, part of the Skywalker saga, the Mandalorian's part of it, like technically all falling within Episode 1 to 9, kind of in that storyline. And if they would get away from it, I think, and create either something completely original with totally new characters that, yeah, they still have the Force. They're still Jedis. They're still the overall, backstory is the same.
There is such a large universe to be able to explore, and it really is about one family.
What all those planets you go past, when you warp past them, it's like you're passing a lot of territory there that there's stories all along the way. That's all I can think is we got to go from one side of the galaxy to the other. Well, what happens in between?
I understand the frustration of Luke Skywalker didn't get his huge moment of being able to fight hand-to-hand combat. It was, the hologram experience there in Last Jedi. I understand that. I understand the frustration of them not pairing up the original trio. I'll even throw Chewie in there, or R2-D2 in there, or C-3PO in there as well. The original gang never had that reunion moment all together in the new trilogy, which created a lot of frustration. And Episode 9 was an absolute stink bomb, to the point where even the new cast was like, yeah, we don't want to be a part of this anymore. That goes to show you.
But hey, just make a Rey movie now. Well, that's what I don't like about it. Stop. Look, I have no problem with Rey. I have no problem with Finn. I have no problem with the main characters in it. But just move on. Just do something different. Anything, please.
Let's see here. We have a couple more comments coming in, including from Teddy, who says The Last Jedi was fantastic. I really liked it. Remember, they announced a Rian Johnson trilogy before that movie came out. And then it was like, yeah, still can't wait to do that trilogy. And they're like, yeah, okay. And then we haven't heard anything about it since. I don't think Rian Johnson will be doing any more Star Wars movies, but I think we will get a couple of more of those Knives Out features on Netflix. I think that's part of the deal. Let's see here. We have Dave, who likes Star Trek over Star Wars. We have Benjamin, who's upset with how they handled Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan had incredible highs and incredible lows. It was just inconsistent the entire time. It was completely inconsistent. Some things defied logic with how stupid it was, but then you have that Obi-Wan Anakin meetup. And I say Anakin because that's what you got. It wasn't just Obi-Wan and Vader. You got to see the prequels really made good in that fight and that back and forth. And the dialogue was more intense, in my opinion, than the actual lightsaber fight was.
And I like Hayden Christensen being back in the fold. Overall, he was in the Obi-Wan show. He was in Ahsoka as well. Yeah. I'd like to see more of that. Problem is he's aged out of being like the teenage Anakin we saw before he turned into Darth Vader. But I think there's something there they could do with him to keep doing some good, unique content from the Anakin side of things as opposed to Vader.
I'm rooting for Star Wars. I want them to get it right, but it has been a mixed bag for the past several years, and I think we can all agree with that, no matter which side of the fence you're on. All right, let's go up to the board. Once again, the big board. Lunce's list going to number 2 of the top 5 pop culture franchises that John has a deep affinity for, or as I like to call it, to affinity and beyond.
That's a Pixar shout out.
That was a Pixar shout out. I was hoping Rocky, in his world right now would.
The ice cream.
Number 2.
Yes, sir.
I don't think those are the little oranges, right?
Halo top.
Yeah. No, we're going with Halo. This would be Master Chief, his saga, along with everything that accompanies it. When did you fall in love with Halo, John?
So I fell in love with Halo when right after the first one came out. I was in middle school, and it was that first title. I really and truly remember going to people's houses, having LAN parties, playing nonstop. It's what got me into competitive gaming. Spent many years, traveling the world playing games, not Halo, but it's what got me into that. We have a Halo 2 10 case on our shelves up there, and
Collector's edition.
Yeah, I can remember standing in line for that. The old midnight releases they used to do. There's just so much about Halo that was my childhood growing up. Now, yes, I can go back to Mario and stuff like that, like when I was really little, but when I was kind of coming of age, Halo was that game that was there for me. It was also one of the first games online you could play with people and interact with people online once that became a thing with like Xbox Live and all. And then, been dying for a movie. I know one movie turned into District 9, and now we have a TV show on Paramount Plus that I liked okay. The second season is currently out now. I like to wait and kind of binge watch it after the fact, so it hasn't finished yet. But, overall, Halo has just done a lot for me, even though the games themselves, it's not like I'm going home and playing Halo every night. I'm playing World of Warcraft or League of Legends or something different than that. But, and Ross brings up Gears of War. I thought about throwing Gears of War, and they're down low because that's another game that kind of got me into competitive.
You love Gears of War.
I do love Gears of War, but as a franchise, there's the games, and that's kind of it. That with Halo, there's more. There's always been kind of the allure of a movie out there. They've done some live action stuff before the TV show, and then kind of switched to the Paramount Plus show. Peter Jackson, Neil Blomkamp talked about doing one. So there's a lot to Halo, even though the games are very much the focal point, kind of like Warcraft 2. But there's just so much more that can be done as well, and it led to so much in my childhood.
So this is awesome. This is an awesome feeling. This is episode 1 of The Meltdown. Thank you so much for tuning in. But we already have the chat reminiscing about Halo and escaping right now emotionally back to that place of when they first played the game. And it's hard to recapture that moment. And every entry in the Halo series, it tries to reignite that passion maybe you had when you first picked up the controller and played Halo. It's a tough thing to duplicate that feeling, because when I played Halo, it was one of those games that absolutely changed the landscape of what was possible in first-person shooters. I felt the same way with GoldenEye on the N64 when I first played it. I was absolutely floored and blown away. Halo was one of those experiences, and we'll be talking about a lot of different games over our lifetime that we had that moment of, wow, I didn't think this feeling was possible in a game. Grand Theft Auto provided that time and time again. And who knows, Grand Theft Auto 6 may end up providing that feeling again, because there's a big hype train towards that. I'm really excited that Halo here made the list. I want to know more about your perspective on where you think the current state of Halo is with Halo Infinite, because the goal is to basically have that be the base game and continue to add on to it.
So Halo Infinite is the best post 1 through 3 game to me. I really like the multiplayer of it. We've played a lot of that. I honestly haven't really focused on the campaign. Like I love the story of 1 through 3, and I like it ended with the whole, hey, wait me when you need me. And then you kind of started a new, set of games with Halo 4 after that, getting into the Forerunners more. But like Halo as a franchise now, I think is kind of shifting into the TV show. Like the second season, like I said, I'm trying to wait till it gets over so I can binge it all at once, because they're like 3 or 4 episodes into it right now. But the first season to just what I've seen so far, the second season, you can tell that budget skyrocketed. Mm-hmm. And they are putting so much more into it and realizing like, hey, maybe there's something here. Part of the reason they didn't do a movie with Peter Jackson and Neil Blomkamp is because they looked at it and said, do you realize how much money we're going to have to spend to do this right, to do this actually the right way, and get the Covenant perfectly right, get the Flood perfectly right, get the Spartans right, get every single aspect of space travel and the Halos themselves and all that right? It's going to cost too much, and it ended up shifting. Well, now you can kind of see, hey, technology has advanced a little bit. We can do more with this franchise, and that's what I'm excited to see is the future of Halo from what Microsoft puts into it, because it's a Microsoft unique thing, and then to see what a company like Paramount can put into it, and continue to create really good properties there and grow it more than just a video game and this one TV show.
Let's now go ahead and unveil the number one thing on Lunce's list. Speaking of listing, remember our friend Jim Wilson with Location Real Estate. Jim is still active with the U.S. military, and we appreciate his dedication to our country and to his clients. Jim is not happy until his clients are fully happy. Each of Jim Wilson's clients has his full attention and devotion to get what they need and want, not only during the home buying or selling experience, but every day after. He's an advocate for the client and not the corporation. Once again, we are proud to be partnered up with our friend Jim Wilson there with Location Real Estate at 205-329-4758. That's 205-329-4758, or you can visit jimwilson.locations.com. All right, number one on Lunce's list as John approaches the big board, and we are excited to see what is the number one thing on Lunce's list. I'm trying to think about what it's going to be. I honestly...
Care Bear? No.
At the top of my head, he's doing a good job blocking it. He's an offensive lineman after all. What is the number one thing on Lunce's list? I know what mine is on Tim's list, which doesn't have the same ring to it. But we'll get to that in a minute. All right. I still can't see it. Let's see. Here we go. Harry Potter. Wow. What a wild card. I was not expecting this.
Honorable mentions, Fast and the Furious is one. I think people may have thought it would pop on the list. I'm always bringing it up on the next round. League of Legends was close and Zelda was close. But at the end of the day, Harry Potter, that's the one.
I would have never been able to guess this was actually your number one deep down inside. Is it the experience at Universal Theme Park that enhanced it for you to get it to number one, or what? Because I didn't know this. Has it always been this way?
Yeah, so, I mean, I love the books, read them growing up as they came out. Goblet of Fire is my favorite. I thought, so we just talked about Star Wars. Okay, Star Wars did not, land the plane at the end of the day, really and truly.
No, it did not.
Harry Potter, I think, crushed the ending. I think had an incredible ending. Now, they're trying to do some more stuff with The Cursed Child, the Broadway play, and kind of growing there. They're doing this HBO series, which... we'll see. It hasn't come out yet to diminish my love for Harry Potter, but I'm honestly not a fan that they're actually doing that. I thought the movies, the books, everything were perfect to then redo it again. But
what about Enchanted Beasts and all of that? Isn't that part of
Fantastic
the same?
Beasts and
Fantastic Beasts? I'm not a Harry Potter guy.
Yeah.
Please put your wands
The movies
down.
are okay. I mean, they're not Harry Potter, but look, I don't falter for saying, hey, let's keep that gravy train rolling. Let's keep trying to make as much money as we can. The theme park is incredible at Universal. Both of them. So you have kind of Diagon Alley in one theme park, and then you have Hogwarts in another part of Islands of Adventure, the other park. But, I think the overall experience of Harry Potter, the fact that it brings everybody in, because here's the thing, Halo is a mature game. So even though it's really not that bad, that may keep, younger kids out. Star Wars is maybe a little too nerdy for some people that I guess Harry Potter wasn't, because it's something you can enjoy with your kids. It's a good book you could read. There's a good film series. There's just so much to Harry Potter and the full experience that Harry Potter gives you. And you could be a part of it too. Like you can say, hey, I think I'd be in this house. Hey, I think I'd be, I'd study this at Hogwarts. Hey, I think I'd do this as my job. There's just so many elements to Harry Potter. It's incredible. And I mean, I just love everything about Harry Potter.
You have Josh who writes in, Ministry of Magic is going to be added to the new Universal Studios edition. Universal Studios planning some big things with their park for sure, and this is going to continue to be a focal point. But are you excited as a card-carrying member and an annual pass holder of Universal's plans?
I hope it's better than the Mario area. I've been to the one in LA. I know they're building that in Orlando too, but I honestly was a little underwhelmed with that. So I hope that with this new Epic Universe they're doing in Orlando, I hope they get the Universal Monsters right. I hope they get more Harry Potter stuff right. Maybe they fix a few things about the Mario area too. But I mean, Universal has crushed it with that. That's really the selling point over Disney. To me, if you want to go to Universal over Disney in Orlando, is to head to the Harry Potter areas. If you are a fan of that, incredible merchandise to buy too. That's the other thing they've done a really good job with at Universal. So, I'm looking forward to seeing how Universal can continue to grow Harry Potter as the franchise evolves. It's the same 7 books, really and truly. I mean, there's been plenty of other things, like you said, Fantastic Beasts, The Cursed Child on Broadway, all that kind of stuff. But really, it's that 7-book series that they're continuing to kind of work on and re-evolve. But you got to do it the right way, or it could hurt the franchise, I think.
All right, so there we have it. Number 5, Marvel. Number 4, Warcraft. Number 3, Star Wars. Number 2, Halo. Number 1, Harry Potter. Sort of a status check of where all of those are as well. We'll have a daily Lunce's list to bring you right here on the Meltdown. Very excited about that. John, good job. Rocky, not a Harry Potter guy, I assume.
You know, I actually gave. I read 3 of the books. I just couldn't get into it, and like I know I respect.
It took you 3 books to realize it wasn't for
No,
you.
no, because I saw I remember because Nancy had worked. My wife had worked for Books A Million. She said for corporate Books A Million. She said that there's so many things they had to do with Harry Potter because everything Christmas you do something special with Harry Potter because consumers just eat it up. And she was like, you got to read the books because they're based on age. They're as the kids get more mature, the books become more violent and more. And I was like, I can't do it because I had that Prime reading on Amazon where you could have that all the Harry Potter books for free. And I read 3 of them, and I was just like, I think I'm going to tap out. I've given it a good shot. I just to let you know, because I didn't watch any of the movies, I thought Hagrid was a monster. I didn't know it was a man. I thought it was.
He is a giant, so I guess he is a monster.
Yeah,
Or
the way
something.
that
What does that mean? That's not very nice to say
why
about
why are you
somebody.
upset?
I'm sorry.
Because I'm a giant.
You're my giant.
Monstrous giant.
Yeah, but no, I was never got into. Deeply respect it, but never got into it.
All right. There we have it. Lunce's list.